KSR's on Radio Row, and we've got a special guest here, Mark Stoops. You know him, you love him. Mark, it's great to have you here. It's great to not do the thing where we're fighting and Lonnie's talking over me, and I can't get a question in. So I've got some questions now. You mentioned upstairs, blue collar. That's Kentucky's. That's who we are.
Yeah.
And after last season, you said this offseason we kind of got away from some stuff. We got to get back to it. What does that look like in the offseason, getting back to that hard-nosed, blue-collar mentality?
Well, I think, the first thing is just, the way we think and the way we approach our work every day, and just being committed to it, and our guys have been consistent. I think we're all talking about consistency and doing the things that are necessary day to day to put ourselves in a position to be successful. There's a lot that goes into it, whether it's X's and O's for the coaches, whether it's the players lifting, running, day to day handling the things that are necessary. As I mentioned upstairs, I just felt like a year ago, I wouldn't say we lost our identity. We just didn't do it very good.
Yeah.
We just weren't. Right. We just weren't as physical. We weren't as tough as we normally are. We need to do that, and we need to be consistent in that approach.
Well, a lot of that is up front in the run game, but Chris Rodriguez ain't walking through that door. Benny Snell ain't walking through that door. Ray Davis, solid runner, but you got some good receivers. You got some good tight ends. You got some good quarterbacks. Can Mark Stoops have an offense that's throwing the ball around the yard? Well,
I think we absolutely want to have that balance. When I hired Liam, 2 years ago, I think you saw that coming, and really, we had one big-time weapon in Wandell, and some other really good players. But now with the emergence of some wideouts in a balanced running game, with a guy like Ray, and I had to address the offensive line. I think we improved in that area, but we certainly have some playmakers. And for us to have success throwing the ball, we have to be who we are, and that's
right.
A physical, tough team that has balance.
Defensively, tough, physical. One of your biggest front sevens that, might be the biggest in my lifetime, right? There's some dudes up there that can knock your block off. But I think what people aren't talking about enough is the guys at the very back of that, your safeties. All three of them are pretty good, Jalen Geiger, Jordan Lovett, and Zion Childress. So how you get them all on the field?
That won't be hard. We the way the season goes and how many players you have to play, and I hope they all stay healthy. But
right.
But we also play a lot of nickel packages as well, and you need a lot of cover guys. Some of the teams in our league can throw the ball around pretty good.
Right.
You know what
right.
I mean? And and they go with extremely high tempo and spread you out. So you got to be able to cover, and you got to have some athletic guys. So I feel like we're pretty solid top to bottom on the defensive side of the ball. Obviously, we need to stay healthy. I feel like maybe inside backer is a position where you got to watch the depth in there a little bit. Up front, extremely deep. I feel like we have more bodies on the back end, but we got to stay good. We got to stay healthy at inside.
Trevin and D-Jack, they got a lot of time because they had to, injuries and what have you. Trevin's really good at that delayed blitz. That dude comes in screaming.
Yeah.
What does he have to do to be the all-SEC caliber player we know he can be?
Just continue to progress, be who he is. He's a heck of a football player. The more reps he's getting under his belt, the better he's going to become. And, just with playing, he's really doing some dynamic things. So I'm excited to watch him.
I know you got to go, but Mark, I've got to ask you a question. I've struggled with this. So I had to come home. Is it ever going to be time for Mark Stoops to come home?
Yeah, there is going to be a time.
There's going to be a day?
Probably now, but, it is what it is.
Yeah.
You look good. I'm not sure I'd look good.
I think you can do it.
I don't know. I'm not ready to make that risk yet. I don't have a choice very long. We'll see.
We'll see. Mark Stoops, thank you so much.
Thank you.